welcome to the Always On Point podcast with Kristen Ambos. Today, I am sitting with Mandi Wilke from Stroll Ledgeview. I'm so grateful to have you here, so thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. You're welcome. So for those of you listening, I do advertise with Stroll Ledgeview.
You do.
And also another neighborhood.
Yeah,
that's
Stroll
with
Thornberry and Indian Trails.
Yep, absolutely, which you can do more than one, but
Yes.
we'll get into that in a second. Why I thought it was so important to have Mandi here is, one, you are just a breath of fresh air.
Thank you.
You're always just so honest and genuine
I try to
about
be.
what you're doing. You're huge in the community. And to me, it was really important to bring that aspect into this podcast because for those of you who are a part of the industry, you know how important it is for us to be a part of the community. When you're in the housing market, you have to be in touch
Right.
with what's going on in your community.
Right.
Local, whether local be neighborhood, whether it be city, whether it be town, county, state, whatever that looks like.
Right.
But it is a really important piece of it. So, Mandi, without further ado, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
Yes. Okay. So I'm Mandi Wilke. I am in year 7, which is hard to believe,
Yes.
of starting and owning Stroll Ledgeview magazine. We are a nationwide company.
Yep.
The N2 company. We have over 500 magazines throughout the U.S. So I'm a franchise owner.
Yep.
The company kind of comes in and says, "Hey, we're really wanting a magazine in a very target specific, highly influential and affluent market."
Yep.
So part of my job, I always tell people I have two roles. One role is to work specifically for the residents, telling their stories. So we keep our articles for the reader, by the reader, about the reader.
Yep.
So it's very highly read from cover to cover. And then the other side is meeting with any business owner in the community in lots of markets that those homeowners would need. So, yes, there's an opportunity to stay in front of people that already know about your business.
Yep.
But there's also an opportunity to get in front of people that don't know much about your business.
Right.
And I say in the world of marketing, and I listened to, actually, on the way here, I listened to your podcast with Baxter, all
sure.
about marketing.
Yes.
Oh, yes. All about marketing. And the truth is that, print, online, all of the things, there's no bad way to market,
Right.
I feel like. So,
Absolutely.
and you'll never hear me say anything.
Ask Kanye West.
Yeah, right. You'll never hear me say anything bad about any type of marketing. But what makes us different is we're really building trust and rapport with our readers.
Yes.
So it's this long-term, constant brand awareness. I always tell people my job's not to make your phone ring, but it's to make sure that you're considered as an option.
Yep.
And the pages of the magazine, you're telling your story as a business owner. You're sharing your business. And I feel like, I always use this example. If you've ever bought anything off of Facebook or Instagram, even TikTok, you don't always know what you're going to get. You don't know if it's going to fit. You don't know if it's going to be good quality. You're not sure how to return it or if you can. People that I partner with in the magazine, I'm partnering with people that I know are going to have good rapport with our readers if they use them.
Right.
And so once I hand that connection over, and that's really what my passion is connections and building relationships, which then stems into community.
Yes.
But that's what I do. That's in a nutshell what I do.
So fun. And I love
pretty
it for
fun.
you. Your personality is perfect for it.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
And I think we
absolutely.
attract, I have a lot of respect for you in the, one of the things that you talked about on the podcast was burnout, right?
Yes.
And it's a real thing.
It
Like
is.
we're expected to wear a lot of hats. And when somebody doesn't see us for a week, it's like, what is our business closing? What's happening? And we're like, no, I just needed a reset.
Yes,
or I took
absolutely.
a vacation.
Yep.
Or I feel like people are tired of seeing too much of me. But you brought up a very valid point with, when people are posting just to post.
Yep.
And I'm guilty of that sometimes.
I think everybody is.
Yeah.
Where
It's like, okay, the algorithms say I have to post today, but I'm not inspired to post.
100%, or I'm just not feeling it today.
Right.
And so it's not genuine to me.
Right.
100% agree.
So that's when then I try to pull from the database of content from my magazine, business partners if I can, or community, what's going on in the community.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you say, being involved in the community. As I've started to evolve in my career, I've done some mentoring within within the company.
Okay.
So my Mondays and Tuesdays are typically designed to help other area directors in their role, because now I'm considered seasoned vet, which seems weird at 7 years in, but I am.
Okay.
But what that leads me to is not being out in the community as much on those 2 days.
Sure.
And so by the time Wednesday rolls around, you guys are laughing at me. By the time Wednesday rolls around, I want to be in the community because
Yes.
I've been at home in my office in my, Zoom
good
outfit.
break.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or I get a chance to put on my pink shoes and go out into the community. And then people say, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. Or I haven't seen you in a while. When I hear I haven't seen you in a while, I freak out a little bit. I have a little oh, I'm not working the way I should be working.
Right. Because deep down, and we've all talked about it, is the content is coming so fast, so much, and there's just never enough.
It's like drinking from a water hose.
It really is. And so if you feel like you haven't been seen for a minute, it's like, oh boy, where did I drop the ball?
Well, and there's a catch-22 balance because, and I'm sure you get this, I know Baxter gets this, we joke about it, but we go out in the community to get to work, right? And we sit down at our laptop in the coffee shop.
Yes.
And before you know it, it's noon and we haven't done anything.
Right.
Because we've seen so many wonderful people in our community. And I've had to learn that that's just part of my role.
Right.
So if I really have a task to complete, I probably shouldn't go out in the community.
Right.
But that's also a very flattering thing.
Yes.
It is. It's fun to be the go-to. Probably my biggest compliment in the last 7 years was someone said, why use Google when I can call Mandi? And I was like, oh my gosh, I love that. Because she was planning a party and she needed a bunch of people to call and I had names and numbers. And this was the thing. She said, I can Google them and get a number, but I can call you and get their cell phone and you'll connect me to them and they'll answer me quicker.
Right.
And I love that. And I know you have a heart for relationships and connecting as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do agree with you. One of the things that this industry has brought me is obviously a lot of connections, like you said, knowing a lot of people and being able to refer them, but also being able to refer the right people that are going to be a fit.
Correct.
So it's the right person right away.
Yeah.
And that's always really big for me. And I do think that a certain energy you have draws certain people together.
100%.
And a lot
Some
of
is transactional. Some is relationship based.
Yep, 100%. And even looking at the partners in your magazine, you can see that there is an energy about it. You can see that there's
similar personalities.
They really, really are. And it's really neat to see. And I've been fortunate to get to communicate and to get to work with multiple people now from the magazine that I was introduced to through you. And I appreciate that. And that's why it's so much more than just a picture in a print, ad, which I do think I want to go into that in a second, but where print still matters.
Print still matters. And here's the thing. I'm not naive enough to think that people are going to see you in print and they're automatically going to know what you do and who you are and know about you.
Right.
But they certainly are going to be attracted to going and following your social media.
Right.
And this is where I think certain partners that I have stand out more than others, because if they're drawn to you and then they go and check you out.
Yep.
And this is something that you are so adamant about, and I think I am too, is the education piece.
Yes.
Right?
Massive.
Our roles aren't always sexy, right? What we get to do isn't always, but we have to educate people.
Right.
So I always feel like if I'm calling on somebody and say, hey, I'd love the opportunity to chat with you, learn a little bit more about your business, share with you what I do, see if we might be a good fit. And in their mind, I'm a Val Pack or a money saver. Not that there's anything wrong with those.
Yeah.
But once they see the opportunity, or once I sit down with them and I can talk to them about, hey, here's my role. Here's your expectations you can have of me. Here's me being totally transparent, almost to the point where it might be a little bit of a turnoff, because I'm not going to promise you things that I can't deliver on, but I can promise you that if you knocked on 150 doors in my neighborhood today and said, hey, who would you use if you needed a loan? They may or may not say business X, right?
Right.
But after 3 years of seeing you in a magazine that they trust and has stories about their kids, their pets, their homes, their trips and travels. Now, if they need your industry, they have to consider you.
Right.
Right. And I feel like that's what you do a lot with your social media is you educate. So if I get the opportunity to say that to people, so people don't think I'm going to put your ad in the magazine and 100 phone calls are coming your way tomorrow.
Right.
And I'm transparent. I do think that earning that trust with my business partners is me not setting up unrealistic expectations. In fact, it's the opposite.
Agreed. Oh, 100% agree. And even when we started partnering together and doing that, you told me all of that, from day
Good.
one. You really did.
Yeah.
And so I knew what I was getting into with all of that. As far as it is print is important, but you can't assume that all of a sudden exactly that your phone's going to ring.
It's not the same as a SEO campaign.
No.
Or anything like that.
It's not.
Building trust and rapport over time, and these readers are reading the pages of the magazine cover to cover every month.
And I think why, and you can tell me if I agree or disagree with me on this, but for me, as a lender, there's so many out there that have to have it right now. I got a call last night at 8:00 and they need an offer in by 10 a.m. today.
Well, that gives you plenty of time.
She was gonna shop multiple lenders.
Yeah. Good. Go with God.
You won't even have an application in.
Yeah.
No, that's not happening.
Right.
And so this morning I had a really good conversation with her and she was like, listen, I know that I was supposed to call you a week ago and I'm probably going to lose this house now.
Yeah.
But so, and I don't mean to go into that story, but it just tipped me off because there's the consumer that wants to educate themselves over time.
Yep.
And there's still always that consumer out there right now who's
just going for the last minute
just
fish
go right now.
Yep.
And for some odd reason, we need to hit both.
Right.
And so that's where it was important. And it is important for me to still continue in print at some level because there are people out there that want to see, know, feel, hear. And also why this podcast came about because the algorithm started saying, well, Kristen, your videos have to go, when I first started doing videos, they were like 5 or 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
Everything was good. I could educate.
Then it was within 30 seconds.
And I'm
Please
like,
give us your message within 30 seconds.
Like, I can't educate anyone in 30 seconds on mortgage.
No.
Not the right way anyway. And hence the podcast. And now we're going into in depth on how important it is because everybody learns in a different tactic.
Right.
So now we have print, now we have SEO, now we have podcasts. We're trying to put everything together, right?
Right.
And that's part of the package that overall marketing
Overall
should be,
the big
right?
Picture.
Yep.
And I think that still people buy in any industry. I do it too.
Yep.
Because you like who you're working with.
Right.
Not necessarily the product that they're offering or they're the best at it or I'm an expert in marketing. But if people feel drawn to you and connected to you and trust you, they do want to work with you.
Right.
They really do. I mean, I would rather work with someone who has a heart to help my business than someone who is expecting. Here's a nutshell because I could talk about this forever.
Yes.
I get to work for people. I do not have to work for people. And that is, I live and die by that phrase because I've taken things personally in a lot of situations where I had nothing to do with the problem that the business was having that I was working with.
Yep.
And I would take it so personally and it would devastate me. It would absolutely devastate me. And then I'm like, wait a second. Like I also run a pretty successful business. I also have standards in my business. I get to work for you. I do not have to work for you.
Right.
And I think if we can all have, not in a PG rated podcast, not in a bad way,
right,
but in a way of confidence, like, hey, this is what I have for you. If this is what you want, let's work together and let's enjoy it.
Right.
Let's enjoy the ride. But I don't have to work for you. I don't have to. Right.
I think that's a great way to look at things because, you're triggering my mind right now too. And, there's so many times, and this is just in the recent months, Mandi. So this is like fresh.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the amount of times clients are like, well, because we're back to the game now. Well, this lender will do it for $50 less. Will you go down 100? And I'm back and forth in that game.
Like the auctioneer.
And that's not my game.
Yeah.
That's not who I am. That's not what I do. I will do my best. I will put my best foot forward up front for you. I know I will customer service and make sure that loan gets done for you. Mm-hmm. And you can ask anyone that's worked for me or any agents that have worked for me, any referral partners, that's going to happen.
Right.
And I'm going to get the deal done for you.
Right.
That's a promise that I'll deliver on.
Right.
But I'm not going to promise that I'm always going to be the most bottom of the barrel fee in town.
By the way, that's a value that they are paying for.
Right.
And if they don't see the value in your price, bless and release.
Yep.
That's okay.
I feel like that's okay, and so many times people are like, well, if they want my business, they'll do whatever I want, do whatever I say. And I think the world is shifting a little bit to, that's fine. But no, we don't have to do anything and everything you say at the beck and call.
Yeah.
I want to do it right. I don't want to rush into this.
Right.
And you don't want to rush into it to quick sign somebody who's going to be an absolute bear to deal with for 3 years.
I always say we're not Tindering. We're in a relationship. Like, but here's the thing.
I like that too.
But I think some people have an unrealistic expectation as well. Like, for example, I've had people that didn't stay on with me after 3 years because they're like, well, I didn't hear from you every month. I didn't get a card from you at Christmas. I didn't get this. And I'm like, you pay $230 a month and you want me to do your print ad. You want me to write an article about your business. You want me to introduce you to 15 people. You want me to do 10 digital posts in a week. And I have 80 partners. Like at the end of the day, I'm also a mom of 3. Like I also have, I know that part of, and this is very much in your role, the more that we're out there, the more that we're expected to do.
Yes.
And it's almost to the point where like, I want to say to people, I want it to reverse the role and say, well, what am I gaining from this partnership from you? When was the last time you sent me a card? When was the last time you wished me a happy birthday? Like, I get it. I get where they're coming from. But I have people on both ends of the spectrum. I have people that, partner with me for $230 a month. And I have people that partner with me for $1,500 a month.
Right.
And this is the answer that I give. The expectation of my role is still the same. My job is to put your ad in a private monthly magazine every single month to make sure that your target audience knows and understands your business.
Yes.
That's my job.
Yep.
My job isn't to introduce you to anybody. My job isn't to do a social media post for you. My job isn't to take you to dinner or connect you with 50 people in the neighborhood. Those are not my job. Sorry.
Yeah.
My phone is ringing.
She owes a box of donuts next time.
Oh, is it a box of donuts? Perfect. Or a pink Yeti cup.
Yes.
But, so that's my job, right? So I think, and you do this well, I think a lot of my business partners do this well, set proper expectations from the front. I didn't always do that in my business. So when I was 3 years into my business, I was like, I don't want to hear this from anybody ever again, from one of my partners.
Right.
Like, I don't want to hear that. So how can I revise my pitch or my elevator speech so they know what the expectation is.
Right.
And they know what they're getting in return for that.
And I love that this conversation is here because this is not magazines. This is not mortgaging.
Life. This is two women owning businesses.
Yes.
And balancing
100%
families and kids and college and community. And also, by the way, if you go to the grocery store or you go to a movie or you go to dinner, somewhere you're probably going to be talking about your business, whether you want to or not.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
When you put your face out there so much, you do get seen. You do feel like you have to be on point all the time.
All the time.
No pun intended.
Right. Like, oh, I didn't put makeup on today. And someone wants to take a picture.
Right.
Fantastic. Let's do it.
Yeah. Great. I just saw you,
But it comes with the territory of being proactive like you are in your social media, with your podcast, your photos, always being up to date and things. It can come with, I don't want it to sound egotistical, but it can come with a negative price. Like you can't just go out and have dinner and not expect to see. We're church shopping. We've had this conversation.
Yes.
We're church shopping. And every time I go, I'm like, please God, don't let me see anybody I know. And there's a reason why in the church world. It's because I need to formulate my own opinion. And if I see people that I know, they're going to help me formulate an opinion that isn't going to be solely mine. They're going to be like, here's why we love this place. And that's all great. Those are all wonderful things. Right. And if I saw you at church yesterday, I'm happy about that, by the way. But it's one of those things that there are certain decisions. When I went through my divorce coach or my life coach at the time said, do not talk to anybody about your decision. Nobody.
Yep.
Because I guarantee you your decision will become less and less your decision and more their decision. It was the best advice I could have gotten.
Sure.
So a little tangent there, sorry.
Well, no, that's okay. But the tangent led with that, which it will always be somebody else's decision.
Right.
The more and more you go and ask.
Right.
And then, the more you put that in. Now, I always like to be... I was somebody who used to go to everybody and ask.
Yeah.
Very much so, that person.
Me too.
Well, especially in my business. Mm-hmm. And, how do you do things? How do you do things? Because I was educating myself, right?
Yeah.
But what I realized is it became overwhelmingly what everybody else thought I should do
Correct.
and less of who I was. And so about 10 years ago,
You hit the age.
I did. I hit the age and I said, I'm not a stuffy banker. No, there's a lot of people who aren't stuffy bankers anymore, but you know what I'm saying. It's like
Correct.
when you
It's
think
not
of
the image you
a
want.
used car salesman, you have a picture in your mind. The stuffy banker, you have the suit and tie in your mind.
Yep.
That's not who I am.
Right.
I don't look good in blazers. You look adorable in
Oh,
them.
well, thank you.
I have broad shoulders and they're not my jam. So I was like,
I don't care what people think.
right?
Yeah.
But it was one of those where it was like, I want to be known as your friend next door,
Yeah.
who's also your banker friend,
Right.
but somebody who you can confide in
Right.
and make sure that I will help lead you to make the right decision for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make it for you. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Right.
But I'm going to help you determine what you should do. I'm going to lay out all the options. And that's where I wanted things to be different. And that's when my business really took off because
Right.
it was genuine to who I was and where I wanted to go with it, with the education side of it and making it be more about the client saying, oh, wow, I have decisions in this, instead of the bank saying, you get this one loan or you get this one loan, and never having an option.
Yeah.
That
And
to me was important.
I think that, kudos to you. It takes a brave soul to do that.
Thank you.
And I hit a stage in my life where it used to, what does everybody else want from Mandi? What does
Yeah.
everybody else want me to do? What mold should I fit in? What outfit should I wear? What club should I belong to? What
Yeah.
board should I sit on? And then I went through a life change and I was like, you know what? Nobody else is looking out for me when I'm going through this life change. So I guess I'm going to have to learn to do it for myself.
Right.
And it's so kudos to you for sticking to it. And then look what it did for you.
Yeah.
Right. So sometimes taking that step in faith, and we talk about this, shameless plug. I keep pointing at Baxter because he's over there in the background. He's usually
Yes.
sitting across from me. But we talk about these kinds of things on the Real Chat podcast, right?
Right.
Like it is not an easy thing to go out on your own. It is not an easy thing to stay in business on your
Right.
own. It is not an easy thing to be opposite of what you're supposed to be.
Right.
Or the mold, right? Or
Yep.
and then we get caught up in the comparison curse. And they're doing this, I should do this. They're wearing
Right.
more black, I should wear more black. They're doing more videos, I should do more videos. And we find ourselves being lost in what our passion is or what our mission is because we're so busy following the leader instead of
Right.
leading.
100%.
So,
Gosh, the videos I can see on my Instagram right now of people in my industry who all have a quick video and a microphone wearing black. When you said that, because that started a trend, or the backwards ball cap, because one guy out in California did it, nailed it, by the way.
Yeah.
And it was genuine to him.
yeah.
Shout out to Adventure Lender. He's amazing.
Okay.
But then the amount of mortgage guys that followed that suit.
Yeah.
And
But you've gotta
instead of
find
being
your
a
own
leader,
niche,
right?
right?
I've always said, be genuine to you. And when I found that worked for me.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, forget it. I'm not doing videos anymore if all I can talk is for 30 seconds, because that's not enough. So the
Right.
podcast is genuine to me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I can help educate as well as bring others in to help educate
And
on
it's-
all kinds of different levels to help people.
And take the whole lender piece out of it.
Yeah.
Take all of that out of it.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity for people to get to know who Kristen is and what Kristen stands for. And
Yeah. Thank you.
I think it's important that people don't formulate a story or an opinion based on hearsay.
right.
And I'll give you an example. I have a partner that partnered with me last week. She's a business owner, and we connected, we met. It was hilarious. She's got this big, I don't know, it's got to be 100-pound American bulldog, and just this beast. And the
Wow.
whole meeting, I was covered in dog hair and slobber, like not even joking. Like, and we had a great meeting. I signed her up. We did everything, and then I got a Facebook message from her. And she was apologizing to me for something that she had said to me years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago.
Really?
And I had never met her when she sent me a message asking to be removed from my mailing list. And I was like, interesting. I mean, that's only happened maybe 3 times in my 7 years. And one person did it because they weren't happy with one of the articles.
Okay.
Okay.
Can't please them all.
You've made it when you have a hater.
Yeah.
But I don't even remember why she asked me to be removed. But she apologized and said, it was really great actually getting to know you and understand what it is that you do. And I was like, there it is.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I had forgotten about it, if I'm being honest with you. Sure. I didn't even remember it because I try to just bless and release and give people the benefit of the doubt. But I think these opportunities that we have, whether it's shorts on YouTube or whatever they're all called, or reels, or it gets people connected with who you are as a person. Right. I do it on my social media from time to time. I'll post a video of me dancing stupidly or doing something ridiculous. And I did it after I had a skin peel done. And one of my colleagues was like, you need to take that down. It looks horrible. I'm like, what do you mean it looks horrible? And they're like, your face. Because it was covered in like a skin peel, right? And it did. It looked horrible.
Right.
But you have to go through the pain. And I said, listen, do you know what that did for that business? Like, do you know how many women reached out to me after that? Even men.
I know I did.
You did.
I did.
And said, tell me about this process.
Like, tell me more. I want to know more.
But Kristen, had I not done that, and then you just said, oh my God, your skin looks beautiful. What did you do? And I said, well, I did this. And
natural.
Then you went and had it done and you didn't know about the steps. You might've been like, Mandi, you could have given me a heads up.
Right.
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 So I think having that genuine, I do try to genuinely care about people and the community on a daily basis. I
think the world in general, but specifically, just even honing in on, where we're at, I think that so many people are thriving for going back to real.
Yeah.
Instead of the facade.
Right.
The facade of what's on social media, the facade of what we see. And
like, oh my God, she doesn't always dress up. She doesn't always have it all together. She's crying. Yep.
Right.
She cries.
Yeah.
You did the other day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like
100%.
We're human people. And I think sharing that helps people to maybe eliminate some of the, oh, she's got it all together. It's all perfect for her and everything works out, or nobody ever says no to her. Those are not true.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
You can see, if you go back through some of my social media, you can see the evolution. I'm one of those that can lose and gain 20 pounds with like blinking an eye.
Oh.
I always joke and say,
welcome to womanhood.
Yes. I don't even need to stop at McDonald's and I can gain 5 pounds just looking at the sign.
Or watching my son eat for the 5th time in a day.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, how's that metabolism working for you?
Right. Mm-hmm. And if you watch my social media, you can see my videos go from, this to that, to this to that, and hair going from long to short to blonde to brown because I'm trying to constantly chase something and to fit whatever mold is at that moment in where I'm also at as a person and trying to put it all together. But the reality is we're just all a beautiful mess.
We are. And I bet for you, because this is one of my favorite compliments as well, is when I finally do get to meet with somebody in person and they're like, oh, you're actually just like you are on your social media.
Yep.
And that is a huge compliment.
Right. To what you see is what you get.
Yeah, that's who I am.
Yep.
That's who I am.
And that's where, the trust in my mind comes from that transparency.
Yeah.
It comes from that education. It comes from putting that together and being who you are. And
100%.
For me, your magazine has really allowed me to do that in a platform that, does go out to different communities, but it's also, here's me.
Right.
Here's my podcast if you want to listen to it. Here's some info, if you want to listen to it. Here's where you can find me on the radio if you want to listen to the radio. Like, here's all the different ways to find me. I invite you to find me.
Right.
If you'd like
and
that invite.
whatever platform works for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that's okay.
Right.
And if you do, I'm honored to have you. And that's where print, I think, is still so important.
And I think, you know this, I know this, any business owner, a referral is our highest honor.
Yes.
Absolutely. And you've referred me to people and I love that. But I think also you are the kind of person that if you're not going to jive with someone, you will refer them to somebody.
Oh, yes.
I had a sweatshirt made that said, I'm not for everyone. Because I know I'm not for everyone.
Right.
And I'm okay with that.
Yep.
But if I'm not for you, I'm going to steer you in the direction of somebody that can help you.
And that's where it's also, this is a good point to kind of go back down on, is knowing people in your community, because Now I know so many in my community. I know so many different people at banks that I don't work at that I know can do loans that I can't do.
Sure.
So people start with me. And if I can't do it, or I know they're going to get a better situation because I'm not, like, for instance, I'll give you a perfect example right now. I can do home equity lines of credit. I am not the best home equity line of credit person.
Okay.
We have it, but we have local credit unions and banks that are phenomenal at that. I'm going to make sure that my referral partners at those banks and credit unions are getting that loan because it's better for the client.
Right.
Than me selling them something just because I can.
Right.
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 And then in turn, I've now made relationships where when they can't get a deal done,
They can call you.
they call me.
Yeah.
And so we're still taking care of that client instead of being the, nope, sorry, can't help you, and giving them nothing to go on. So then that client just sits there and says, I don't know what to do because they just told me no, and I really still don't understand why.
Right. And I think
I don't have anyone else to talk to.
It goes back for your heart to serve.
Yeah.
I've had people say to me before, like, you need to monetize when you connect people. Right. And it's kind of a funny joke. And then I look back and I'm like, you know, they're maybe not wrong.
Sure.
Like, something that I'm good at. Could I throw a dollar amount? But one of the highest compliments that I can get that just fills my bucket, it doesn't pay me.
Yeah.
It doesn't pay me, but it fills my bucket. And I'm going to use Baxter as an example, but we had someone on our podcast the other day and they were like, hey, they had started their business and they're like, you wrote an article about us before we were even a business. Like you gave us an opportunity to educate our neighbors that we were doing this. And that turned into an introduction with Baxter that turned into him doing all their photography for their website and all these things. And I forget sometimes that I do that.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't do it with a purpose other than I care about Baxter. I cared about Kyle. I care about business owners.
Them working, their successes.
I care about people starting a business because it's hard. And it was hard for me. And so why not a hand up instead of a hand out, right? Like, let's hand up people. But sometimes I forget about that. And that truly is my passion. And it truly does like spark me to do more when someone comes to me and says, hey, I need help, or I just randomly introduce them to somebody for no reason other than I think you two would be a great connection.
Yeah.
And then I don't always get to see what evolves from that.
Right. We don't. You're so right. And the amount of times that people find great success and then maybe you run into them years later and they're like, thank you so much because of that.
That's what
turned into
happened.
this. And you're like, whoa, I didn't know.
Right. And then now I chime in with, well, when you're really successful, don't forget about the little people that got you there.
Yes,
like I do say that. Like, don't forget about me when
remember us back here.
Yeah. Yeah. But it fuels my heart. And before you had asked a little bit about community and, you know, I've always felt like I'm involved in the community, but I haven't had a heartbeat on how to do it better or how to do it more.
Sure.
So I'm just going to chime in with one of my 2025 goals.
Yeah.
Our magazines, we can do a free 501c3 ad every month. So a half page, we can feature a different 501c3 and we as area directors don't get charged for that. So it's something that I can do for free to help my community to give back. But I'm taking it one step further in 2025. And part of the reason is I live over by the Freedom House.
Yep.
And I have not been as involved as I should. I drive by it every day. So I stopped in, did the tour, met with some people there, and I'm like, I can do more, right?
Yep.
So I made a pact that for 2025, that in addition to my half-page article or half-page ad, I'm going to write an article about that organization so all of my readers can learn more about each 501c3.
That's amazing.
So I only have 12 months, right, available, and I think 4 of them are already spoken for.
Ooh, you're hearing it here first.
Hearing it here first. But my point was I can go in and write them a monetary check. I could go into 12 different 501c3s and I could say, here's $200, here's $500, here's whatever I can do this month. And I could do that and be done. And I would feel filled. But if I could write an article and give you 2 pages in my magazine or 3 pages in my magazine to write about your organization,